Welcome to Dropping In, a podcast of storytelling and interviews with your host, Winter Olympian Mercedes Nichol.
Thank you all so much for dropping in today. This is a new series, Series 6, that we will be dropping in with. Series 5 was a little heavy. We talked about the shoulder season blues, and this will be more fun. I spent the last 20 years of my life living out of a bag, living on the road, traveling, and I wanted to share some stories with other athletes and hear their stories about traveling on the road, because I know we have some really funny stories out there. Thank you so much for dropping in on episode 50. If you can believe it, we're 50 episodes deep today. Let me introduce the guest that we will be dropping in with. Now, do you remember the first sport that you tried, or at least stories of your friends and family telling you about when you first put on your first pair of skates or you were kicking the ball around? Well, our next guest put on skates, but they were speed skates at the age of 4. Now, that was super interesting to me. If you haven't had the pleasure of trying these skates on, I can tell you it's not easy. I have tried it. We'll show some photos later. Growing up in Calgary, this guest put on these skates, speed skates, and it paid off. 20 years later, at 20 years young, she competed at the Vancouver 2010 Winter Olympics in the women's speed skating 500-meter competition. Now, we'll be chatting about all the travels and in between the 4 years of the Olympics, because not only did she compete at one Olympics, she participated in 2 Winter Olympics, including the Sochi 2014 Winter Olympics, again in women's long track for 500 meters. Our guest attended the University of Calgary studying communications and culture, and she has done extensive work in the LGBTQ community to combat homophobia in sport. In April 2017, our guest retired from speed skating after a serious knee injury, and she is now the voice behind Player's Own Voice, a CBC podcast with 100 episodes for you to listen to right now. This daughter, friend, host, sports analyst, almost wife, and 2-time Olympian has traveled a lot. Let me introduce Anastasia Bucsis.
Oh, I'm getting all choked up.
Well, you did it all.
I love Mercedes Nichol. No, my gosh, it's such a pleasure to be joining you here, my friend.
Oh my gosh. Now you did just send me some photos, so I want to pop up. How old are you here?
Oh, look at that. Look at that. I think I was maybe 6, maybe 7. Yeah, look at that haircut, eh? I didn't realize, or I didn't accept that I was gay until I was 20. And, photos like that, I probably should have caught on a little earlier. But
I think we all had short hair at that time.
Yeah,
Don't
I know. I kind of actually miss the short hair. I barely brush it now in the pandemic.
No, I think everyone's in the same boat. If you wanted to look at the back of my hair, we won't go there. Okay, Anastasia, on dropping in, I do a rapid fire 10 questions that you have not seen yet to let the listeners kind of get to know you a little bit more. Are you frozen? Are you ready?
Are you frozen? I thought you were frozen. I was trying to be cool about it, We're living in this Zoom world.
I know, this Zoom world. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, number 1. What is the one thing you traveled with that is a must-have for your sport?
Speed skating, sharpening tools. We sharpen our own skates.
What does that consist of?
Great question. You have a little jig that's all made out of titanium metal. You put your skates in, your blades are facing the ceiling, and then you have what you call a stone, which is, I don't even know, graphite. I just said that to sound smart. I don't know what it's made of. And then you sharpen your own skates. And I would do 9 sharpens this way, 9 sharpens that way. If you really want to get technical, no one's asked me that question ever.
Well, I don't know what it looks like, so thank you for explaining. I appreciate it.
It's a little bit like a mad science project. Yeah. If you don't know what you're watching, it's kind of unique.
Yeah. Wild. That's cool. Yeah. Number 2, who is the most high-profile contact in your phone right now?
Oh dear. She's an easy one, so probably Tessa Virtue.
Figure skating.
Yeah.
Do they sharpen their own skates? Probably
No,
not.
they don't. They go to the like same person, but
Yeah.
I think it's still in a like, I don't know, some sort of contraption, some sort of machine, whereas we do it all ourselves 3 times a week usually.
Yeah, I get it. Figure skating versus speed skating. Totally get it. Okay. Number 3, what is the top song or playlist that you are listening to right now?
Oh, I'm a sucker for old music, so this isn't even fun. I heard I think it was a song by DaBaby the other day,
Okay.
and I was like, "Who is this, Drake?" And I was with a friend that was like 20, and she called me a boomer. I was really offended. I'm like, "Oh, I've lost it." I like Fleetwood Mac, Stevie
Yes.
Nicks. Those are go-tos.
Nice.
I just watched the Beatles documentary, so we're listening to a lot of Beatles. Yeah, if you haven't
Awesome.
watched it yet, watch. If you
Nice,
haven't
nice.
watched it, that's
If
not
you
even
haven't
proper
watched it.
English. If you
I
haven't
feel like
seen it.
that's right.
God, this is not rapid round. Sorry, my friend.
No, don't worry, it's never rapid. Our listeners know that.
Okay.
Number 4, if you could go back, would you rather stay in the Winter Olympics or do Summer Olympics?
Winter. But it's funny that we talk about figure skating. I wanted to be a figure skater growing up, and I'm 5'10", and my parents were like, "Honey, you're going to be way too tall for that sport." And so that's why they put me in speed skating. So I would have loved to have been a figure skater. I love the artistry and the athleticism of it, but no, I'll stay with winter. Thank you very much.
Did you know that I grew up figure skating?
I didn't know that. When
I
did you
had
stop?
when I moved to Whistler, I did it for a couple years, but I had the same figure skating coach as Patrick Chan. And Patrick was so
You
funny
could have
the
been
other
Patrick Chan 2.0.
No, it was so funny. Patrick, we were in at the Richmond Oval, and he was like, "Wait, we had the same coach? Why didn't we see each other?" I'm like, "Oh, honey, I'm older than you." He's like, "No, you're not." I'm like, "Yes. I've gone to one more Olympics before you came to the Olympics." It was
Oh,
awesome. It was so
that's
sweet.
that's so lovely though. World is so small.
The world is small. It really is. Okay, number 5. If you were invisible, what's the first thing that you would do?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'd probably go to like the Oscars or something. I'd want to see something
Oh.
that's like a really big event and kind of just be a fly on the wall. But that's voyeuristic, and I'm not trying to sound creepy, but yeah, that's where my brain goes to. I'd love to go to something that like certainly I perhaps and probably will never be invited to, even though winning an
Yet,
Oscar was my
yet.
dream growing up.
Keyword yet.
Yes, yet.
Right?
Yeah.
The first thing that came to my mind, I was like, "Oh, I think I would rob a bank." I
It
would
kind of
never
came to
rob
my
a bank.
mind too. I know I'm not like I no, but that's
But I
just like the knee jerk. You're like,
is
okay, I
that
have
just
to
like
do this, I guess.
yeah, it's like ingrained in our heads, like
Yeah,
invisible, rob
yeah.
a bank, go.
We gotta do it.
Okay, number 6, this is probably a quick one for you. Big city or small town?
I'm a big city girl. I love the small town, but underneath it all, I am a city person.
And you're in Toronto right now?
I am. My parents have a farm though. I mean, I grew up in Calgary. They still have their house in downtown Calgary, but um my parents do have a farm just outside of Saskatoon. So I love a small town, but I
Yeah.
think underneath it all, boil me down, I'm a big city person.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 7, what's the biggest risk that you have taken?
Moving to Toronto. I retired, and it's funny because you say, "Oh, 2 Olympic Games." I was really hoping to compete in Pyeongchang, but it just wasn't in the books. And I got the job from CBC, and I uprooted and moved within about 10 days. I just left my condo. My cat is with my neighbor. I had to say goodbye to my roommate at the time, Paige Lawrence, who's one of my best friends. And I said I have to do it because I'd regret it if I didn't take a chance on myself.
I
Moving to
remember
Toronto.
that. I remember
Mhm.
that, and being like, "Oh, she is doing it. She is all in," and I respect that so much. It's awesome.
Thanks. I'm really proud of it, to be honest. So
Well, it's
thanks,
brought you
miss.
amazing things. You worked your
Yeah.
patootskis off. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Number 8, after retirement from speed skating and the Olympics, has your view changed about the Olympics?
Um, Yes and no. I believe in the power of sport, and there's nothing better than competing. I don't know. I love a good race. There's nothing better than racing. I
Yeah.
love speed skating, right? It's one of the loves of my life. It's given me absolutely everything that I could ever dream of. And so, I mean, with hindsight being 2020, right? You think, oh, I could have done this or I could have done that, or I hope that changes in the future. But fundamentally, I'm a pretty grateful person for skating around in a circle for as long as I did.
And now that like this, I'm just adding to this one question. Like now that you interview all the athletes,
Yeah.
is that weird, or do you think that gives you like a leg up to be like, I know where you're at. Like I'm gonna ask these other questions other than how does it feel?
Yeah. How does it feel? Oh, I've still asked that question though. Don't worry. It's easy to ask that question.
It is easy to ask
Um,
that question.
it gives me a leg up, but sometimes it is an awkward or like uncomfortable position because I also respect people's I hope I respect people's boundaries and I respect silence, right? Like to get such visceral feedback from sport, it's so unique. And so I do find it awkward at times to talk to someone right after they've competed because win, lose, draw, sometimes the best thing you can do is actually give them space. So I
Yeah.
always try and be very respectful with that. And so that's the only time that I think, ooh, like this is a bit awkward. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, like there's nothing worse after having gone down the pipe or, skated a race and someone goes, hey, good job. And you're like,
Yeah.
what? That was terrible. Like what?
Right.
I really respect the boundaries, so that's the only time
Yeah.
that I ever feel a little bit awkward.
I think the best advice I got was do not talk. Like right after your run, you don't have to go through the media
Yeah,
scrim. You can take a second. And I remember in Pyeongchang, I took more than a second. I was like, I am not ready to talk to anyone. I'm very upset, yet happy, yet upset. All
yeah,
the
yeah,
emotions, the roller
yeah.
coaster. Okay, number 9. What is the best way to travel?
Luxuriously.
First class,
Duh.
baby.
Light. I like to travel light, to be honest.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, I'm just getting on a plane to Beijing, and it's going to take me probably 25 minutes to pack. Boom, boom, boom. I
I
don't know if that's good
envy
advice, but
you.
that is my advice. Yeah, I've
I
I've always
envy
been
you.
very light. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, last question of the 10. What are your top 3 places to travel?
I love Costa Rica.
Mm,
My best friend, Kaylin Irvin, who's also a speed skater, has a lovely place about 30 minutes south of Tamarindo, Paradise. I love
amazing.
Thailand. And my favorite city in the world is Berlin. So Germany has a real soft spot in my heart as well, as do the Netherlands, right? Like that's the mecca of speed skating. So there's a lot of respect and love there as well. But
So cool. Is this like would you have gone speed skating there
yeah,
and raced there? Is that's
Berlin.
why? Okay.
Oh, and Berlin, like, it's just so fascinating with the history of that, obviously the country and the city. It's like the culture is so viscerally different and so it's just so forward. It's like they're a decade ahead of us. That's how I've
Right.
always felt visiting Berlin. I love it.
Ah, so cool. So, yeah,
Go.
thank you for doing the rapid fire. Never easy, but always fun for me.
I don't know if it was rapid because we've been talking for
It's
like
never.
13 minutes.
It's
Sorry.
never rapid, don't worry, it's never rapid. But then everyone gets to know you a little bit more, and, like, I didn't know that you go to Berlin a bunch. Where are some other places that, like, you have probably the most memorable memories from, when you were traveling?
So we skate in Holland, in or just outside a little city called Herenveen, and
Okay.
so that has always been, a huge part of my speed skating life and memories.
Mhm.
I can't wait to go and revisit. The Dutch just love skating, right? So you walk down the street and I remember being a rookie and they didn't even know who I was, but there was just such a respect of, oh, you're a Canadian Scots or you're a Canadian skater, like,
Yeah,
success, good luck. And they cheer for everyone. Of course, there's a few more cheers for the Dutch, which is normal, but they truly
obviously.
like they're fantastic friends, right? The Sea of Orange, there's just no atmosphere like it than when you skate in Herrenveen. I also love a little place called Insel, Germany, and it's literally like The Sound of Music. Like,
Oh, cool.
like absolute Julie Andrews flying around, like, you know, singing to the dandelions. That is where we skated. And so that also has a real soft spot in my heart.
Amazing. Okay, so when you're on the road, how many is it, like the whole national team together, or is it women and men? Are you split up? How does that work?
Everyone's together.
Okay.
A lot of board games. I am an only child, and so I
Okay.
never gravitated towards board games. I'm like, no, I'm very social, but like I would just rather have a cup of tea, or now that I am not speed skating, I'd rather just have a beer with you and
Yeah.
talk. So
Yeah.
I never really got roped into the Settlers of Catan groups, but they did exist.
Oh, I didn't know that that was like a every team did that. We did that too.
Oh yeah, when that was like the hottest, when that was the hot game, it was like collecting wood or coal or what. I don't even know. I don't know. I'd just rather have a conversation.
I love it. Okay, so in the snowboard world, I feel like the winter athlete world, we train hard, we compete hard. Um, Snowboarders, we party hard, I would say. Would you is that consistent with speed skating as well?
No,
No.
no, I wish. Like, I mean,
Oh,
that's my, with hindsight, yeah, I wish I would have stopped and smelled the roses a little bit more. But I mean, yes, of course, you work hard and then you party hard when there's like a world championships, or, you know,
yeah,
at the end of the season, of course. But
yeah.
this circuit is a grind, to be honest.
Mhm.
Like, you're racing, you know, 3, 4, 5 times a weekend at times.
Yeah.
And like speed skating is a really aerobic and lactate heavy sport. Like
Yeah.
physiologically, it's like I would be over a garbage can at least twice a week. Like you get sick. It's so difficult
Oh my
and so
goodness.
taxing. So after a big weekend of racing, you kind of just want to like go to bed and
Mhm.
cry yourself to sleep because your nervous system is so fried. But
Yeah.
you know, again, hindsight being 2020, some of my greatest memories are from the parties. And
Yeah,
like
the
the fact
after.
that
And it's always,
yeah,
like, after, like, a big event, you know? Like, it's not after every event that you're just like, the snowboarders, like,
no,
partying. It
no,
would for
no.
sure, like you said, like, world championships, Olympics. I mean, the 2010 games were really fun once we were done.
2010 is like that was one of the greatest times of my life. I was also going through a little bit of a rough time because I was really in the closet and like struggling with that. But that is
Okay.
one of the regrets, to be honest, is that I didn't lean into the party scene enough in Vancouver.
Mm.
Like now that I'm 32 and it's all over and said, I'm like, it's, you know, all over and done. I'm like, why didn't I just like be the rock star that people were treating us like? It was such a amazing experience to be a Canadian athlete and compete in Canada. Like I will forever be grateful for that.
Yeah, it's so I thought that was only gonna be, like, once in a lifetime, but then the 2026 bid came in, and
I
now,
know.
like, there's another bid potentially coming in. I was like, "Okay, wow." But then again, it was, what, like, how long ago? What,
It's
20 like
12
11, 12 years
12
ago
years
now.
ago. Is that not bonkers?
It is bonkers. It totally is bonkers.
It's so
Okay,
weird.
who was your, like, favorite person to be on the road traveling with? Did you have roommates? Because I know I always had a roommate that
Yeah.
I don't know how they didn't get sick of me. They probably did.
I think everyone gets sick of each other. It's honestly so difficult to describe just how much of a family teammates are.
Yeah,
It true like I have had teammates that I haven't talked to for oh my gosh, 3 4 years, and I know
yeah,
that if they would call me up, it's truly like family. Like it's like this individual's a brother or sister to me.
yeah.
Um so yeah, I don't know. What was the question? I can't even remember. I just
Oh,
jumped
like,
on it.
who was your roommate? Did you have the same
Oh,
roommate?
easy peasy. That's my best friend, Kaylin. Kaylin Irvin, the
Oh,
one in Costa Rica. So,
yes, yes.
she's not physically there right now, but has the place in Costa Rica. So, yeah, we were very much competitive with each other,
Yeah,
but just so much respect. And she can make me laugh like no one else in the world. So,
I love it.
we're very different. She's quite a bit more analytical and logical than I am, and very like technically driven. And I was
Mhm.
more heart forward. So we balance each other out too. She's made my life so much better. I really cannot say enough about her.
Amazing. Do you have any, like, one story from on the road that sticks out in your head? Like, personally, I was looking through some old photos of mine, and I was like, "What is this video?" And it makes me laugh every time. I'm in Walmart wearing sunglasses, trying to find my teammates and trying to also deliver a rap while I'm walking, like a rap song, and then I trip over something, and I, like, almost eat shit in a
Oh,
Walmart just looking like a goof. That's,
it's
like,
perfect.
kind of, like, tops up. It kinda gives you an understanding of, like, where we're at. Like, we were rap battling videos, sending them back and forth. Like, do you have any random
Oh my
stories like
god.
that from on the road?
Yeah, oh, there's so many. And I know we were just talking about Kaylin, but honestly, one of the highlights of my career, the 2011 World Championships were in Insel, the city that I had described as
Yeah,
like, Maria from
Sound of
Sound of
Music.
Music. Um, and it's in Bavaria. And so the big party after World Championships, it was almost just like a wedding. Like it was in a beer hall, all the Germans dressed up in traditional Bavarian clothing, like huge beer steins, like everything that you could imagine. It was 10 times better. It was like being at a wedding with all of your competitors. And oh gosh, I just, it's one of the greatest memories I ever have. Cindy Clausen is also a dear friend and teammate, and she's taught me so much. Um, we got a little peckish around, I don't even know. It wasn't even that late. It was like 1 or maybe midnight. Let's say
Mhm,
midnight, just for the
mhm.
sake of this story. And Insel is a small enough city that they don't actually have hotels. You just live in like hostels.
Okay.
And we got a little hungry after this party, and in our very innocent brains, we're like, well, we'll just ask, Frau Seidel, the house that we were staying in, to make us some cake because she's a really good baker. Not thinking this poor, 70-year-old woman is absolutely asleep. And we woke her up and she
Yeah.
couldn't make us any cake, but she got us some cake from the pantry. And it was just like one of the most lovely moments and silly moments. And Cindy and I talk about that all the time. Like we literally
Yeah.
were like, Frau Seidel, please. Like, and she just got us some chocolate cake. So,
Bless her
you
little
know,
heart. Yeah.
yeah, I
It's
think about her all the time. I think about that lady all the time and that chocolate cake and what we were thinking. Oh my God.
so awesome. Oh, man.
Yeah,
Okay, so I wanna pull up a couple pictures that you shared with us, and if you can just tell me the memory that comes to mind.
let's do it. Oh, well, that's an easy one. Claire Hughes, she was working for the media at that point. She was just such a mentor to me, personally and professionally. She really helped me when I was struggling with my mental health. So,
Mhm.
dear friend. And yeah, she was with CBC at that point. That's at our team announcement in Sochi. And I had just come out, right? I had just publicly come out, and there's so much media attention, and I was just trying to find my footing. I hadn't been skating all that well. That's a story for another time, perhaps. But yeah, she just really sat me down and kind of reminded me the values that I celebrate and the meaning of life and the meaning of the Olympics. And yeah, it just meant a lot. The
Such a great
conversations that we've had.
human. She's a
Yeah.
great human for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, here's this one.
Oh, little Patrick Chan. We already talked about him. And
I
Jessica
know.
Gregg. Yeah, Jessica Gregg is a silver medalist in short track speed skating. Patrick Chan, of course, needs no introduction. So, Jess and I competed and have known each other since we were 4 years old. So, got to grow up together. Yeah, she's from Edmonton. I'm from Calgary. So, Alberta girls.
So
And
cool.
Patrick Chan is one of the dearest people in my life. So,
He's a dad
again,
now.
he's a dad. Little Oliver, such a cutie pie,
So
that baby.
cute.
Yeah, so
Okay,
cute.
and then you just said when you were younger, I just need to bring these up because that
Yeah.
outfit, I'm telling you,
This
that's
is
a good
funny because so
outfit.
if you bring that photo up again,
Yeah, yeah.
I've cropped it out. Like I'm actually sitting next to a big garbage can, and my mom was like, "Just go sit." So that's Susan Ock, of course, like
Okay.
legend. She's now the CEO of Speed Skating Canada, actually. And I was so dumb struck. Like I was so starstruck to see Susan Ock and her Team Canada jacket that I just like awkwardly like sat down, and my mom kind of did this, and I've shown her
nice.
that. Yeah.
A sneaky photo. And how old were you there?
I don't get starstruck. I don't know. I was probably 6 or 7 again, like same haircut, I think, same vintage. But I really don't get starstruck. And so it's so nice to like be reminded of the power that athletes have on children, because like I really do have Susan and Katrina to thank, and even Steve Armitage, right? His voice, like that was what birthed my Olympic dreams. So I owe it all to them.
So cool. I mean, so many good stories. Olympic journeys are so wild, and unfortunately you got injured, but you've made a full blossoming career at CBC. I'm really proud of you. Do you want to just give a little tidbit about Player's Own Voice? Because you have 100 episodes out.
I'm tired. I can't believe it. 100 episodes? My God, I'm getting sick of my own voice. No, thanks, Merce. Yeah, I've been so blessed with my new career and whatnot, and I really do have speed skating to thank, and friends like you to thank for it. So I'm doing something very similar. I'm not doing it as well as you are, though. Like, this was a great conversation. It's just very human first, athlete second, candid conversations, right?
It's super fun.
I think it's really easy. Thank you. I hope it's fun. But it's really easy just to get a little bit caught up with the scoreboards. And I never have been one of those people. So I'm highly competitive, but I was always more interested in other people's experiences and the human element of sport, because I really do believe that the critics don't really count, like, and so I want to hear your story. I want to hear your, like, I'm just really lucky to have a platform to connect with people. It's
awesome. I know Olympic stories are so awesome. Like, that's what I learned being in the RBC Olympian program, was that everyone has a story. And when we were all together, I was just like, man, these stories are so valuable to share with other people. And I love that too. I love hearing Olympian stories, but I also like to bring the different sides to them in a short amount of time, which is awesome. I just wanted to, for the guests that are watching, let them know that I did try on speed skates.
You look good. Like, I can tell that you look very comfortable.
Well, you're super kind.
You got stride.
This is in St. Moritz. And I remember a bunch of the speed skaters being like, you got to go on that ice? Because it doesn't happen very often. And that's an outdoor bit where everything else is indoors. So I can't imagine speed skating racing on like the bumpy surface of outdoor ice.
This is a great question. I grew up in Calgary, so I'm a wimp, right? Like, I had the Calgary Olympic Oval, the greatest ice facility in the world, in my backyard. And so, but when you're a kid, you have to skate outdoors. So we'd be going to Regina and like minus 52. I skated in Whitehorse in the 2007 Canada Winter Games. It was minus 48. Like, I was not cut out for that, because I'm used to like 15 degrees, no wind, beauty conditions in Calgary. So I am jealous that you got to skate in St. Moritz, because that is very rare and that might not happen again. Like, truly, you're very lucky.
Yeah.
And but the cold and the wind, I'm not joking. Like, it's brutal. Like, I don't know. I think that's actually one of the struggles with long track, is that if you don't live close to, either Quebec City, or there's an oval up in Fort St. John in BC, or Calgary, you're skating outdoors in cold weather, like in a suit that's way more thin than a bathing suit.
It's totally something else. It's something else. And we didn't even touch on your outfits. Like, even from when you put on the skates at 4 years old, were you in the full hooded navy white outfit? Okay.
No, but I wanted one. And I know my parents were like, okay, we have a very driven child. It's sweatpants and a sweatshirt for the first year, but then I got some spandex, I think. Spandex and then an actual skin suit. But I just tried on a skin suit actually for the first time in a few years, and I was
Oh,
like,
how'd that
oh
go?
God. My body has changed so much that I like don't even recognize myself. But still surprisingly, like I'm very comfortable in spandex. I don't know. I guess I've just trained myself
Your whole
after
life. Your
24
whole
years.
life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Seriously.
I love it. Awesome. Anastasia, thank you so much for your time. I love your on the road stories and where you like to travel. Where can people find you online if they want to follow you for the rest of their lives?
Oh, thank you. My gosh. Well, I don't know if anyone wants to follow me for the rest of their lives, but I'm pretty easy to find. Anastasia is my Instagram and Twitter handle. It might even be my TikTok handle. I don't know how to work TikTok. I'm too old. I made Anastasia up in like the 7th grade, and it doesn't make much sense, but now I'm just too stubborn. I'm not going to change it. I haven't changed my 403 number either. I'm like, I got to rep Calgary for forever. People keep calling me being like, where are you now? Are you still in Calgary? I'm like, no, I just don't change things. So
You don't need to
if you're
anymore.
looking, it's true. I know.
Yeah.
Does long distance rates even exist anymore?
I don't think so. And if they do,
God.
just FaceTime.
What a time to be alive. Like, remember in like Skype, I remember that when I
Yeah.
went to like having to like ask my parents for their credit card to put $15 on and then being like, the internet's going to steal our identity. Remember? That was only a
Yes.
few
No.
short years ago.
I know. I remember being in Japan and being like, "Ooh, got a Skype to tell my parents I made it to Japan." Not that I
Yeah.
really ever did that. I like barely told my parents I made it anywhere. My poor parents.
Poor parents.
They're like, "She's in the contest." They probably were just looking
Yeah.
at the results or
Like,
something.
okay, she made it safe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Anastasia, thank you so much for dropping in today. And everyone, please listen over at CBC to Player's Own Voice. And we will see you on TV in Beijing.
I'm doing all the long track. I'm doing RBC Spotlight, and I'm doing daily POV podcasts. So you might get sick of me, but
No,
I'm bringing
never.
my best stuff.
Never. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Merce.
Thanks so much for dropping in today. You can find everything you want to know about Dropping In with Mercedes at droppinginwithmercedes.com. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks DJ Kenosis for the music and my mom for the intro voice.
That's great.